I don't remember the exact moment it happened. There was no clear ending, no final conversation, no day where I could point and say, that's when everything changed. It happened quietly, slowly. So slowly that I didn't notice it until one day I looked around and realized I was living a life that no longer included parts of myself I once thought were permanent. There was a version of me that used to exist effortlessly, a version that didn't feel like it had to explain itself, a version that took up space without apologizing for it. I didn't lose that version all at once. I abandoned it in pieces. At first, it was small things, things that didn't seem important enough to hold on to, a habit I stopped making time for, a place I stopped visiting because it felt inconvenient, a part of myself I told I'd return to when things settled down. They never did. Life has a way of rewarding what you repeat and letting the rest fade quietly into the background. And I kept repeating survival, responsibility, practicality. I told myself I was growing up. That's what people say when something meaningful starts disappearing, but they don't want to admit it. The version of me I'm thinking about didn't disappear because it was weak. It disappeared because it wasn't necessary anymore. At least, that's what I believed at the time. That version loved things without needing a reason. It lingered in moments instead of rushing through them. It believed that time was something you experienced, not something you managed. I used to recognize myself easily. I don't anymore. There are days when I catch glimpses of that older version unexpectedly, in a memory, in a smell, in a sound that pulls me backward before I can stop it. And when that happens, the feeling isn't nostalgia, it's distance. The kind of distance you feel when you realize you wouldn't know how to return even if you wanted to. I think what hurts most is not that I changed. People change. That's unavoidable. What hurts is that I didn't notice what I was trading away while I was doing it. I traded curiosity for certainty, depth for efficiency, presence for productivity. And everyone around me praised the trade. They said I was becoming responsible, stable, focused. The version of me I never went back for used to ask questions I don't ask anymore, not because I found the answers, but because I stopped believing they mattered. Now I analyze emotions like problems that need solutions. That version wasn't afraid of stillness. I am. Stillness feels dangerous now, because in silence, there's nothing to distract me from the distance between who I am and who I used to be. Sometimes I wonder if that version of me is still waiting somewhere, not in a place, but in a moment. But life doesn't pause just because you're ready to reflect. It keeps moving forward, whether you've processed things or not. So instead of going back, I adapted. I learned how to keep going even when something inside me felt unfinished. People don't see the absence, they see what's left. And what's left works well enough. That's the problem. When something works, no one asks what it costs. I've become good at navigating days, good at meeting expectations, but there's a quiet awareness that follows me everywhere. I don't know if that version would be disappointed. I think it would be confused. Confused by how carefully I avoid certain thoughts now. Confused by how quickly I dismiss things I once cared deeply about. Because uncertainty used to feel like possibility. Now it feels like risk. And I avoid risk whenever I can. Not because I'm afraid of failure, but because I'm afraid of opening doors I don't have the energy to walk through. That's what growing tired looks like, not exhaustion, but resignation. I don't regret everything that changed. Some changes were necessary, but I do wonder what would have happened if I had paused just once, if I had noticed the moment where adaptation quietly became erasure, if I had chosen to carry that version of myself forward instead of leaving it behind for convenience. I think about it sometimes, not with sadness, but with a kind of calm recognition. That version of me didn't disappear because it was wrong. It disappeared because I stopped making room for it. And room is something you have to protect deliberately. No one reminds you to do it. You only notice once it's gone. I don't know if I'll ever go back for that version of myself. I don't even know if it's possible. But I know this. Losing parts of yourself doesn't always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels practical. Sometimes it feels necessary. Sometimes it feels like progress. Until one day you realize you've built a life that works, but no longer feels like it belongs entirely to you. And that realization doesn't shout. It waits, quietly, patiently, until you're finally still enough to hear it.